Carly.
You know what? Let me tell you how I met Laura. There's this thing called networking. It seems to be a
Exactly.
repetitive theme here, right? And we all know the wonderful Miss Lynn Lionhood, who is not with us right now because she's actually in her own networking. But one of the things that Lynn does is she likes to take people and really figure out what they need in their life and who they need to connect with. And she is the one who put me in contact with Laura. And I believe her and Laura networked in person, like back in the old days.
Yes, yes.
So they met, I don't know how they met, but they did their networking in person. And then it's just kind of carries down the line, right? And when Lynn knew that I needed somebody for marketing design, she connected me with Laura and she's like, you've got to meet Laura. She's the perfect person. And so that, of course, threw me right into a one-on-one with Laura. And I got to know about her business, and that brought her in here as a power partner.
Well, thank you, Colleen. Thank you so much. And thank you, Nicole, too, for running this. I am very excited to be here. And today we're going to be talking about branding, which is my personal love. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
Try one more time. Zoom's a little slow today.
Yeah, it is acting a little funny.
It is acting, yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Are we up?
Got it.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Let me just see slideshow.
Hey, Nicole, while she's figuring that out, do you want to tell us more about her?
I can absolutely do that.
I
And
want to
I
hear
will
more.
let her, absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. Let me bring that screen back up, and I will read a little bit about Laura because she deserves uh, that read. Let's recognize her as the expert she is, especially and going to be the expert in the vault in the membership. And so Laura began her career as an art director and illustrator at a mid-sized Chicago agency, quickly rising to senior roles at other firms. She ultimately became a creative director, leading teams and earning widespread recognition for her leadership and creativity. She then established an in-house marketing agency for a major corporation where her innovative approach set the company apart from its competition. Wow, she's got some expert experience here, guys. Driven by an entrepreneurial spirit, Laura founded Five Star Creative Group to deliver award-winning creative solutions without the big agency overhead. That's good. For over 30 years, she has helped businesses of all sizes worldwide build strong, beautiful, effective brands. Her agency is recognized for its strategic, compelling work and her passion for client success. Well, take it away, Laura.
Well, thank you, Nicole. Thank you so much. Like I said, I'm very happy to be here. And like I said, with do advertising, design, and marketing, the most important thing to me, and it's always been my baby, is branding. Because if it's not done properly, it could be a disaster. Okay. I found this, Jeff Bezos said this, and it's branding is what people say about you when you're not in the room. Sounds sort of something like from Mean Girls, right? If you have a bad brand, it's so important because if you're not around to sell your brand has to speak for itself. So you want to make sure it's positive and the right story. Branding separates you from the competitors by building trust and influencing purchasing decisions. Now, I know Nicole was so kind to read my bio, but again, I started this in 1995 after working in other agencies, and I have corporate marketing experience. I've worked with small entrepreneurs as well as with large corporations. And I consider myself a partner, and I consider to any of my clients their creative department, that they can rely on me. I take care of stuff, everything is archived. I'm just part of the team for many, many of my clients. And so they know they can rely on me at any time. I have worked on over since I started Five Star, I've worked on building 263 different brands.
Wow.
Now, Now, branding itself has 5 pillars, and I don't know if many of you know this. It's the purpose. What is the brand's reason for existing? It has to have a purpose. You just can't float out there and not have a reason. And the perception. What's so important is how is this brand perceived? Is it, does it got a bad connotation? Does it have a good connotation? Does it realize, is it trustworthy? The next one is obviously personality. You got to set it apart. Is it like really tough and badass, or is it really very refined and strategic? The next thing too is the positioning. You have to position it in the unique way of where it's going to be in the market. So if you're B2B or B2C, you have to find your right market. And then of course, promotion. And promotion is most important because that's how you got to support it with all your marketing materials. And then together, like I said, these form a core foundation for the brand's identity, strategy, and consistent experience. So what can be branded? Let's talk about that. A lot of people think it has to be this pen or something. It's anything that to the market that can fill a want or a need. This could be obviously physical goods, like maybe this pen, but it's services, experiences, events, people, places, properties, organizations, information, and ideas. Now, in terms of when you're doing this, if you're branding an event, then maybe that event is going to be annual. It's going to have maybe a look and feel that people go, oh, we're going to go to that next year. So everything that is still part of considered a brand. Visual branding, okay, is the use, though, of all visible elements to create the distinct, memorable, and consistent identity for a company or product. This visual branding is the face. It is what everybody is going to see, whether it's on a shelf, whether it is anywhere that's promoted, okay? So this is physically what people see, and it has to be very cohesive. So what's the difference? People say, okay, I got a logo, that's good, and a visual brand. There is a big difference. A logo is an identity for like the name of the event, the product, something like that. But a visual brand is what it's feeling. Brands are emotional, perceptional, and, well, I forgot my third word. Visual. What am I saying? Visual, emotional, and perceptional. So you have to have all that tied into one to be a visual brand. Okay, a logo is just one little part of it. So now, what does visual branding do? It builds recognition. Oh yeah, I see that. Oh, I know that's that product, or it's that service, or that business. It communicates values. It knows whether you're reputable or not, or they can trust you. Like foster trust and emotion. It'll create emotion. If it'll make you maybe be more, it'll warm your heart. It will maybe go, oh yeah, that's really cool. Or it creates an emotion. And a lot of times it could be subliminal, but it does do that. And of course, it supports all the marketing. So what do? I've got these steps for branding success. And this is part of my handout, my freebie handout too. Because what are the steps in the branding process? Okay, first of all, you have to define the brand. If you are all working as realtors for maybe a big umbrella company, why would somebody choose your service over the guy next to you? You want to set yourself apart, even if you're in the same industry, in the same company. Okay, you have to define and go, you know what? The brand isn't real estate XYZ. You know what? I'm the brand. I am going to set myself apart, and people will buy from me, or people will choose to work with me. Okay. And then what you're going to do with that, once you define that brand, okay, you want to outline your qualities and benefits. What do I have, or what does this product have that is, better than anything else, or fits a niche that, that needs to be filled? You have to outline those benefits and say, why, defined as to why we're doing this. And then you're going to develop your core mission. You're going to understand where, what are my goals with this product? What is the mission of what we do as a company? So it's all within that brand. And then you're going to research within the industry. Oh, nope, sorry, skipped it. Determine target audience. Your audience a lot of people will say, oh, I just want to sell to everybody. I want everybody to use my services. You want to determine a targeted audience, because you can't be everything to everyone. You might have certain demographics. You might have seasonal times that you got to focus on with that audience. There's so many different ways, but you got to really determine who your audience is, and you have to speak with them. And the next thing too is to research within your industry. You don't want to do exactly what Joe Schmo's doing next door, even in the same industry. You want to be better than that. You want to be better than what they're doing, and see how, yes, you want to gather the knowledge maybe from that industry, but you also want to find out what's going to set you apart, maybe offer more, maybe do things, but don't just blend in with everybody else. And then, of course, we create the graphic identity. So, and we're going to touch more on that in a few minutes, but that's where you start. You have define, outline, develop, determine, research. You have all this stuff in your basket now. So then what we're going to do, we're going to create that identity that is going to answer all of these questions. And it's going to be a reflection of all of this. Okay. And then after that, after it's done, everybody loves it, then we're going to formulate standards. Now, branding consists of, we have about 4 or 5 things that once we do with the logo. Your logo, your color palette, typography, imagery, they all are cohesive. So your brand mark, that is your identity. Now, the first thing you're going to do too is, everybody loves it. It looks great. Let's talk about that for a minute. You've got this amazing logo that speaks to you. And what we're going to do is, we've got it. What I usually do is I create what they call the logo in its Sunday best format. So that's got the wow factor. That's where it could be printed, full color. We may have drop shadows. We may have this, we may have that. But then we've also too got a clean version. Okay, this is part of how we create standards. So when you do this, if you've got something, an identity, and you want it to be able to be printed and for digital, of course, but you may want to embroider it. You may want to, you have to knock down a color or two. Maybe you want to get a promo water bottle and you've got 80 colors in your logo. You can't do that. You have to have the different variations. Now, there are other companies out there that will give you your visual identity as a JPEG. Now, that is the worst, because you want your logo, okay, to be in what they call a vector PDF, which is either it's that or an AI file or an EPS, because that you can blow it up and make signage out of it, or you can make it really small. You don't want, yes, you need JPEGs, you need your PNGs, you need calibration for both digital, which is RGB, and you also need for CMYK for print. But if you just have the original that is a JPEG, that is a picture. That is going to blow up and be fuzz. So it's just a tip. I've seen clients come to me and go, oh, here, I got this JPEG. Well, you blow that up, it's just a pile of fuzz. Okay. So we've talked about that with the identity. Then with the color palette, that's another thing. You've got your colors. Colors are emotional. Colors convey the beautiful, beautiful different things and different emotions that are going to tie into with your visual identity. So if you pick out all those coordinating colors that you're going to use and carry it through. Of course, with the typography, you want to make sure that, I mean, there's zillions of fonts out there. If you're going to go bold for something really, really feminine, it's not going to work. You're going to establish all this stuff, okay? And your imagery. If you have certain images you want to use or a certain style of images, you want to put that all together as well. So, and then our graphic elements, icons, certain ways that you lay out things, whether they have different shapes or whatever. But all of these to cohesively kind of set your graphic standards and how you're going to move forward in all your marketing efforts. And it's for both, you have to have ways for print and for digital. And print is not digital and digital is not print. You want to make sure you're working with somebody who knows exactly what they're doing. I am very particular and when it comes to branding, because I know for all entrepreneurs out there, it's their baby. But I always feel like the proud aunt, because what I want to do is create something that's going to really, really speak for your business when you're not there, because we're creating a brand. So I wanted to speak to your business, but also, and really, really come across as what you want it to be. Okay, effective branding helps organically and authentically convey others the answers to some big, important questions for your business or organization. Now, if you have a brand out there, or you have a logo, okay, and again, remember, we have to have all those steps to make it actually a brand. They're not the same. A logo is part of it, but it's not the same. But if you're considering a rebrand or a brand refresh, a lot of companies do that because, here, I'll give you a couple examples here. Things do get stale after a while. We all, as business owners, everything has to evolve. So, but this would be some questions that you would answer yourself. Are you unique and recognizable? Do you have a simple, engaging story? Because the story behind the brand is most important. And is it conveying that? Are your materials stale or inconsistent? Are you outdated? That happens too. It also too is even with outdated, even your product or service. Is that outdated? Maybe you need to think about a brand refresh. Are your design trends overused and tired? Was that a great look in the 90s? And maybe we could take part of that and bump it up into 2025. Has there another reason to consider to rebrand if there has been a change within the business or offering? So if you're a restaurant and decided that you're really going to push hard going into the pizza business and your branding doesn't really, you're branding burgers right now and you want to extend that. So you might want to think about rebranding then. And have your audiences changed? And that happens too as businesses evolve. So these are things just to kind of think about if you're considering to do a rebrand or brand refresh. So the next one I'm just going to bring up for fun, Cracker Barrel. Okay. our friends here, they decide to spend $700 million. Okay. Now, this is over to our left, or would be my left, is Uncle Herschel and everything. Granted, the logo needed to be updated. We get that. But their minimalistic design, which they could have minimalized that just a little bit or redid it, updated everything else, this made it so stark and it lost all its history. It lost all its charm. It just became very, very sterile. And that was a waste of $700 million. So you don't want to go like that either. But the thing is, there are ways to update logos where it makes sense, and because you have to keep with your brand, or like I said, brands do evolve. So that's important. So if you're thinking about it, do you have a story? This is if you're thinking about just in general, make sure you've got this. Do you have a story that is reinforced by your current brand expression? Because remember, brands are visual, emotional, and perceptual. Okay, those are the three most important things. What are people thinking about your brand? Is it on target? Do you have a standout identity? Okay, that's obviously, I love creating identities. So, but you want something that's really going to stand out and make you unique, and also too with a good tagline, but at the same time, you want it to be stand out and instantly recognizable. Does your message attract the right audience? Think about that. Are you trying to, does your message, if you're trying to attract fellow B2Bers and you're, kind of, it's looking like it's more of a consumer product, is it working for you? And the main thing is you have to be consistent with all your graphic standards in every marketing channel. I have seen clients, like I said, I'm kind of a dinosaur in the business, but I've been around a long time. There are so many times that people just choose to not use their identities or just put in another font or do this or do that. You can't. You're just weakening your brand. You're washing it away. You have to have all those cohesive pieces because people are going to go just subliminally, oh, that's so and so. That it's just incredibly important. So, and I think, yep, that is it. So I'll stop my share. So does anybody have any questions?
Let's see here.
I do.
Yes.
I am wondering what is I want the simple answer.
Okay.
Difference between a rebrand and refresh.
It's just called two different things. Rebrand or refresh, I would say, it's like giving your identity Botox. That's what I would consider that. So in other words, what you're doing is you've got a cohesive look. You've got this, but you know what? It's just a little outdated, or you just wanted to have more zing, something like that. That's what I would call a refresh. Rebranding is say, okay, let's get back to the table. Let's talk about our taglines. Let's and let's review our story. Let's update it, things like that. But a fresh is, like I said, I call it Botox.
And so how often do you recommend that we do that? Or is it just not a time frame?
You know what? There's not necessarily a time frame, but as we all know, in every business, we're evolving. Okay. And if you find that your business is losing maybe some momentum, and maybe that your stuff is looking old or dated, or you want to keep, okay, if for a refresh, you would want to keep it where it is just a, like I said, it's got more oomph. It's a little bit more. It's giving it a freshness that can be done, at every time. But if you got to think, considering too, is what is out in the market that you've used. In other words, if you've got it plastered everywhere too, it could be dependent on budget too. So you'd do a slow rollout. If you're doing a refresh or rebrand, you may have to hit it hard. So you'd have to go, okay, this is our new look. This is new everything.
And so when you do that,
there's not really like I said, a timeline. I think I think businesses get to a point, excuse me, let me just shut this off. Yeah, I think businesses just get to a point where when you're thinking about your business and you're trying to attract more and you're feeling a lull, and maybe as you're evolving as a business.
and so when you do that, do you suggest going backwards? And what I mean by that is, like, I'm a scrapbooker. I've been scrapbooking for years.
Mhm.
And so if I look back to the 1980s when I was scrapbooking, I was
Uh-huh.
taking DJ Inkers had maybe like black and white coloring books that they were a print pattern only in it, right? And we would photocopy that onto a red cardstock or a yellow cardstock, and then we would have a patterned cardstock, right?
Uh-huh.
And then we evolved, and then we started using textures, so buttons, and then we started using metals, and we used clips and paper clips and pins and eyelets and things like that. And then we evolved a little more and started using fabric, right? And we
Right.
went from stamps to markers to all the things, right? So when I look back through all these years of scrapbooks, I can see how I've grown and how things have changed. So
Right.
for me as an entrepreneur, 2 years ago, I created maybe lead magnets that have an old brand heading on them from 2 years ago.
Mhm.
If I'm doing a rebrand, do I need to go in and rebrand all the way back, all the things? Or just
Only,
point
only
going
if
forward?
Only if you're currently still using them. Do you know what I mean? So,
I do, but everything's alive forever on the internet.
yeah, you don't have to, if it's just floating out there, but I'm talking about if you've got new print materials, if moving forward, you're on your social media, you've got things like that, that you're gonna update. You're not gonna change your history. Just like with anything else, even if it's non-visual, it's not going to change the history. If you're still passing it out or sending it in the mail or stuff like that, but that's when you.
This is just such an interesting theory to me too, to consider what your clients like or are looking for, because I've always been a believer, like, I don't dress to impress people. I dress how I'm comfortable, right? I'm getting ready to order furniture for a room in my house, and I want
Uh-huh.
my old style furniture. I was looking for couches, and all they have out right now are tons of these corduroy couches. I don't like that. I just want the standard old leather couch.
Right.
And I thought, my kids are going to come in and go, "This is so grandma." But then it also just seems like me. And so I kind of feel that way with my brand too. Like, there are things I just love and I want to incorporate.
And you know what? That actually, you just brought up a very good point, Colleen, because what I do is after we gather, obviously, with our story, we define our audience, our mission, everything else. The last thing I do is I give the owner a sheet with adjectives. What would you describe your business? What adjectives? Regal, funny, smart, blah blah blah. I mean, they're full of adjectives, and some of them would be like, "Why are you doing this?" But the reason I do that is because your business is your baby, okay? And if you go in there, and I want you to just circle them, it doesn't matter, even if it doesn't even pretend to be in your business, but it's something that sparks you. Okay. Fantastic, sparkly, anything, because I've got this whole list of them. Okay. Then what I do is take that along with our story, our mission, our audience, and everything else. and design several options that will show those adjectives in my designs. So,
Okay.
so
Ken-
even
Ken's got her hand up.
if your business is not sparkly, let's say, I'm going to give you a design that reflects sparkle, not in the literal sense, but it will do that. So that's
Okay.
what I do. That's why your visual identity is just so important. And like I said, with it being your baby, you want it perfect. And you want to be able to reproduce it properly. There's nothing worse than that. So, and it's got to go everywhere. It's got to have its complementary colors. You got to have the whole look.
I think Ken had something she wanted to
Oh,
say.
yeah.
Or
So thank you, Laura, for sharing that. So I actually used to teach graphic design, and I used to be a graphic designer, and I also do
Mhm.
like branding, logos, and that's how I started before. So but I stopped doing that. I'm now offering virtual assistant. But what do you think are the trends that are shaping today's branding? And for us business owners, which should we avoid following blindly? Because there's a lot of trends going on right now.
Oh, yeah. You know what? In terms of trends right now, first of all, the trends could be for the younger kids, the trends could be for the old. You got to consider your audience. That's what's most important. You got to consider that, and you got to consider the history of your company, the history of your brand. You just don't want to do something on a silly trend that is going to, be outdated, like a blouse that you get that's going to be outdated again in the spring. You don't want that. Yeah, so it's hard. I am seeing a lot of cleaner stuff. I mean, definitely, but in terms of, there's no, there's not like a super trend that we would follow.
And another follow-up question, like in the age of social media today, how do you think does it affects the way we present ourselves or our branding?
Oh, in the age, well, you just want to make sure you're doing everything digitally and it complements. What's most important is that it complements as to what your graphic standards are for your brand. That is, it's very important to put something out there that doesn't look a thing like your brand is, you're going to lose it. Not so much lose it per se, but, water it down in terms of strength. But yeah, but you want to do it with digital files. Some people try to throw on, CMYK on their
Thank
digital
you so much.
and then it's a mess. So, but yeah, no, you got to carry it through all your marketing efforts.
I have
Thank you
one
so
more
much,
question.
Laura.
Thank you.
I have one more question. And so I've been in the brick and mortar world for a long time, and it was easy to see. You deal with both brick and mortar and online, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And so it's easy to see in the brick and mortar world actually how like when there was a time for a change, right? So when we started out Chicken Lips with a Z was my upscale boutique.
Okay.
Sketchy, but nobody ever
I love the name. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody ever forgot the name.
I love it.
And so when we started that out, it was like the turquoise and barn red were really popular. And so
Mhm.
we started out with that, those colors, that scheme, a red chicken, big metal chicken in front of my boutique. So you could see from across town if I was open or not, right? And we would take it in and out every day, things like that. But our backdrop behind the cash register obviously had our banner on it, and was the turquoise metal tin,
Mhm.
but then things shifted and got a little bit more shishy poo poo, a little more elite feeling to the
Okay.
aesthetics, right? And I could see that shift happening in lots of boutiques were becoming like, even though we were higher end to start with, they were like putting that higher endness forward in their business.
Mhm.
Business off that. And so we switched and did black and gold glitter. So, and we did it on like our business, clearly our business cards are any promotional things our chicken, our signage, all those things, right?
Yeah, you gotta carry it through.
All the logos on all my employees' cars and my car. And then we dress up for work, but we did a lot of service in the community. And so we have t-shirts we wear for service. And so then we switched to the black t-shirts with the gold chicken lips. Actually, there was a little gold chicken on it and a great big gold glitter lips on it. It was so cute. And
That's awesome.
I love that branding, but we were probably about 4 years in when we rebranded and did that. And that felt much more comfortable to me.
Right.
But I think that it was obvious that it needed a change. And
Mhm.
so when we're in the online world, we're like, oh, nobody's our competition. And who is setting the trends? Where are we finding the trends? Where are we finding the things that we should update? Or is it just a feeling we have inside ourselves?
Well, again, when you're checking in with your competition and checking in with the industry, I mean, you can see it and feel it, whether it is, like you said, with the brick and mortar boutiques, you could see it there. If you research even in the industries or the different stuff that's out there too, you'll see a shift as well digitally. It's just may not be as obvious or may not be seen as much as a brick and mortar, but you'll see the nuances or you'll feel the nuances. So
Okay, I think
yeah, so it's still out there. It's just not, it's obviously if you're just purely online, it's a lot cheaper to adapt and refresh. You're not buying signage, you're not buying uniforms, all that stuff, you know, it adds up. It adds up.
Right. So much of what I see online is people building businesses using their names. And then I think that their branding is so personal that it falls out of the trending. They don't have to be in the trending because it's more personalized to them.
Mhm.
But then the trendy things I don't love, like, everything had to be aesthetically pleasing, just even in content, the trends, everything needed to be color blocked, everything, all these different trends that came. And I really like to I'm more comfortable just standing out and being me and maybe
And
not
you
change
should
it.
be because your brand is you. Your brand is your baby. So you should be. That's why I'm saying don't, I mean, you could look and, see what's out there, but the whole point is yeah, you gotta be you. What sets you apart?
And so what parts of our business can we keep in place? Is it the way that we speak and the way that we communicate? Or can we keep that part consistent while making slight changes and slight refreshes to bring colors and things like that up?
Well, think about why you want to rebrand or why you want or refresh. If if your message is the same and everything else about it is the same, yeah, you could just, keep your story, everything the same, and then do slight nuances to your identity if that's what you're looking to do.
I feel
But
like
it
that's kind of
it
what I
really, and you
did.
want to consider your audience too. I mean, change for change
Right,
is
right.
costly.
And I feel like that's what pushed me to do my last refresh or rebrand is because I was very soft and florally, and my websites, my landing pages, everything had like bouquets of flowers. And then I got to the point where I actually have more male clients than female clients, which is weird because I didn't think I would start out that way. And I was like, okay, they're
See,
probably
business
not
is
feeling so
evolving. Yep.
comfortable in here. And
Yep.
so we cleaned it up a little bit. And, I have a flower emblem, maybe for my logo with my initials in it, which
Yes.
adds a little bit of masculinity, but not masculinity. And there's a lot of significance in how we did that and still kept the color pink, just not so many flower petals.
Right,
People
right. See,
are
and
comfortable with.
you're making this slight shifts,
Mhm.
but keeping everything consistent in tone. Now, when you think pink too, you people will think of you. I mean, it's everything, it's all visual when you're using certain colors within a brand, certain this, certain that. I mean, we know that you are Simplified CEO Solutions, even though I don't see a logo on your screen, but you know what I mean? It's you,
Right.
your picture that's always promoted. You've got beautiful flowers and a beautiful color scheme. You're branding on target. So
Perfect. Thank
that's
you.
yes, that's what's important.
So tell us some more about your freebie.
Oh,
So
yes.
you just had some people join. I want to make sure everybody knows about your.
Okay, okay. For my freebie, well, I just got a little bit more detail on those steps to branding, where we're going to define, create our core mission, um, uh, reverse or review our target audience, and create and formulate. So that's my freebie. And then for a VIP, if somebody joins in on a member, I would be happy to visit with them for 30 minutes on Zoom. We could go over your current marketing, because that's the first thing. If anybody is considering working with me, I want to know your history. I want to know exactly what you've been marketing with and what you have, and how we can move forward and knock it out of the park. So what we'll do is we'll sit down, we'll review your branding, go over stuff, and then I will send you a short PDF and with some of my suggestions, no obligation. So that's my VIP gift.
I like that. And I want to ask you one last question. Maybe something, just share something that we can go look so we can kind of do an audit ourselves. Like I know I try to tell my clients to make sure that, like, for instance, their profile picture is the same. It's a clear headshot, clear behind them. And it's the same across all social media platforms. And then it's also the same they're sharing in different places. But tell us just one or two things that we can go look at to really know whether or not we need to jump in and get your services right away. Like we can go, oh yeah, there's a sign that I'm off track.
Okay, okay.
And then Ken had her hand up too after that.
Oh,
Sorry, I
okay,
can't see anybody's hands. I'm sorry.
okay. What I would do is literally put out everything physical, or write a list down what's out there digitally. First of all, you're going to pull it all together that you're currently using. Old stuff, that's out. Okay, so all your print materials, your promo items, your like I said, what your digital presence is. Look at all of that stuff and find out, first of all, do they all work together? Okay. Now, keeping in mind too, aside from the identity and what we talked about, different fonts, colors, imagery, but not everything has to look like an exact cookie cutter, as long as you have stuff that all reflects your brand. Okay, so that's why that gathering of your graphic standards is so important. So you want to go through all that, take a look at that. If you're consistent, you complement, it's reflection. If somebody come in and go, oh yeah, that's such and such brand, that's important. Then you're going to want to make sure, just take a good look at the design. Take a good look at your colors, the fonts, everything about it. Images speak 1,000 words and illustrations, but you don't have to use the same image every time. That's not it. You don't have to do that. Maybe a style that you like, or work with things like that. I mean, a lot of this stuff can vary. But you have to do it creatively. Okay, you don't want to do the same thing every time. But look through, review your story, and review your mission, like we talked about the different things, and find out, is it reflective of what your brand looks like? Okay, so if your brand is, I don't know, if your brand is just one thing, where, I don't know, happy and jolly, and then you've got another one that looks, but you're conveying the feeling that it's almost looking sad, then it's, you got to rebrand. You want to make sure, because designs reflect, like I said, emotion and personality, and it's all part of its visual too. So if somebody just does something because they like it, that's fine. You're going to have to go opposite and create the story behind it as to why. But there is so much more to creating good design that answers questions you have.
There's so much more to all of it. I didn't understand
There
that.
is.
I thought we
There
were just
is.
creating a logo for fun, but no, it seems
Oh,
we're
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a fun little thing, but what's it
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, there's so much meaning behind it. And I love what you're saying. So I see that kind of, are you familiar with Laura Ashley fabrics?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, so I I had one of my businesses I had was a children's clothing manufacturing company, and I
Okay.
used a lot of her prints to make clothes for kids. And I just loved that. I mean, I could spot a fabric a mile away and know that it was a
Right.
Ashley one, and yet they weren't all the same. They were different floral patterns, different designs, but I could tell just by looking. There was just that underlying
It
brand
is. A lot of it is.
that
It's
Yeah.
subliminal. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, and you just know by looking that, yeah, that's that, you know? And I think that that's the secret. So when we're mixing it up with lead magnets and business cards, and let's just go further to our banner on Facebook, to our t-shirts we're wearing when we go out to an event and we're representing our business, there just has to be that underlying understanding of the brand.
That they know it's you.
And
Exactly.
it's got to
Without
be
having to be a cookie cutter.
Yes,
Right.
that web that weaves it all together is so fine and so intricate. And I really think that that's why you need an expert to tie that together, because really for most entrepreneurs, at least for me, I don't want to look at it that deep. I want to be like, I like that chicken and I love lipstick, so let's do
Yeah.
chicken lips, you know?
I love that name, Colin Chicken. I love it.
I've had some really good ones. We had like Repeatables, which was a high-end resale clothing store.
Oh, wow. That's
Repeatables was
awesome.
a good
Yeah,
one.
I
Yeah.
love it.
And then the kids' clothes was Character Kids with all K's in it.
Aw.
And it had a little frog emblem. It was really cute. But anyways, I really liked that kind of it, but I never understood the depth of the web behind it. And I think that that is so important for brands, because it's so important to be able to see that thing and know, oh, or see the perception of, feel the perception of it.
Absolutely.
You
In
know what
fact,
it comes back to.
if you go down just any store aisle, look at products off the shelf, for example. I do a lot of like packaging and stuff as well, but look at two products that are selling the same thing. And then you make a choice. Why? You don't know. They might be the same thing. You might guide it on price, yes. But you look at these, one of them you're going to be more attracted to or want to purchase over the other. And why is that? If
It's so
they're the same
interesting.
thing.
Yeah, so it's like Cadbury's and Aldi's, right? It's the same product.
Wow, yeah,
Aldi's
see?
chocolate is the same as the Cadbury's product, but
Yeah,
I would rather pay a little bit more and get the Cadbury's. I don't know
yeah.
why, but
Well, and that too is because of the brand reputation.
oh Lordy, Nicole put in the chat that branding's like dating. And you know what? The sad thing about that is that I can walk in a store. It doesn't matter what store it is. I pick out what I love, and it's always the most expensive thing every
Eh,
single time. It drives my husband nuts. We went looking for ceiling fans, and
Yeah.
and I did not pick the fanciest one. I just picked the one I love the most. And he's like, "Really? $1,200 for a ceiling fan?" And I'm like, "We don't have to get that one. We can get another one. I just really like that." Why is that? I couldn't just pick the $200 ceiling fan.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I think that, you know, when it comes to business simplification, and we need that so that we can build a business that we're madly passionate about,
Right.
it's taking the time to meet with someone like you in the free call and understand the service you offer and understand the value that you're bringing, and then realizing that it would probably take me 10 or 15 years of studying to get what you have, and that I could just pay you to do it and not worry
Yeah.
about the intricacy of the web that weaves all of these things together. And so I think that is just huge. I want everybody here to understand that value, and that's why we're bringing these experts in as power partners, so that you can quit wasting time, quit being the bottleneck in your business, quit tripping over yourself, get out of your own way, let the experts do their thing, let them shine, so that by their light you shine brighter and people are drawn to what you're doing. And I love what you're doing. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you
thanks,
so
Colin.
much.
Oh, thank you, Colin. Thank you.
Do we have any last questions for Laura?
I have one last question, Colleen.
Okay.
Yeah, because this is very informative, because I'm gonna create my new website in
Uh-huh.
Colleen CRM. So I'd like to hear your I really love listening to this. So my last question for you is like, based on your experience, what was the biggest mistake what was the biggest lesson you learned from a branding mistake, whether it's your branding or your client's branding?
The biggest mistake I have seen probably, again, is I'm a nut for quality. And so when people hand me that something that somebody created without the backing behind it and want to use it and promote it, and like I said, when you print it, it's a pile of fuzz, and it's not good quality work. But I see a lot, or I have in the past, long time ago, I see a lot of people, if they're running an ad, oh, I don't have the logo, just, throw in cursive. I'm like, what? You can't do that. You have to have your logo, your identity. People not seeing the value, I would say, actually, is probably the most important mistake that people make, because they just think that they could just, write out their words and that's it. Because you know what? You keep doing that, that's going to be your branding identity. People go, oh, no, it's not a logo. It's just, I'm just going to throw a font on there. That's fine, but that's becoming your brand. So, do you want that to be your brand? Do you want that to look like that? Are you doing what you should be doing? Does it reflect what you do as a business? So, so I've seen that too, where people kind of get stuck with bad branding and a bad reputation because they didn't see the value in branding.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And so when you throw it together like that, then suddenly
Oh yeah, you end up getting
and
stuck.
you have to lower your prices, and that's another thing. And so I will say too that I've made sure to keep my pricing super low on my CRM. It's
Mhm.
about half of what most people are doing. There's the Go High Level CRM for right now. Because I keep it at the low price and then I include all the things with it. But I do that so that people can also afford to hire the power partners and get the good quality thing in there. And so, just so people know, inside the CRM, the templates and the way that even if you start from scratch to build a website or a landing page or something like that, it's plug and play. I drag and drop things in there and use it. And when I say drag and drop, it's like I'm dragging and dropping a section. And then I
Mhm.
take the
Wow.
content that Laura gave you and I put it in that section. But you've got your branding then. And so here's how this looks. You can wear pearls, your
Mhm.
grandmother's pearls, with a
Mhm.
$3 t-shirt and a $20 pair of jeans.
Mhm.
You can, and you can look classy and elegant. And
Mhm.
so I'm trying to provide that service. For me, it's a subscription service. It's over and over each month. For you,
Right.
it's a one-time thing until they come back for a rebranding or a refresh or something like that. I'm trying to provide that because you can take the elements that they get from you and we can plug them in to a plug and play or a drag and drop and build
Yep.
out something amazing together. And so
Yeah,
people
that'd
need
be
to
great.
understand that that's how the power partners come together inside the CRM as well as inside the studio.
No, that's great.